You are about to enter into. You're about to enter into. Preacher, okay, that's all well and good. It's late. What, pray tell, does this have to do with me? What, pray tell, does this have to do with Asbury in 186 years? What, pray tell, does this have to do with us moving forward? Or what, pray tell, does this have to do with don't forget to remember? What you need to understand is that your remembrance is preparation for your purpose.
There you go.
Did you get that? Nudge your neighbor on the left. I said, did you get it? Nudge your neighbor on the other side. Your remembrance is preparation for your purpose. In other words, it's part of the process. It's part the process. You have to remember along the way so that you don't go back and make some of the same mistakes that you made before. You have to remember along the way so that you can give glory to God in season as well as out of season. You have to remember along the way so that by the time you get to where God is calling you to, you'll know who to give all honor to. 3 points. 3 points. We're going home. First thing you have to understand as we remember so that we can move forward. First thing you have to understand is you have to learn how to appreciate the aftermath. You have to learn how to appreciate the aftermath. What I love, but also what troubles me about the people of Israel, and Dr. Cooper did this earlier when we had the rereading of the church history, was that part of them despised everything they had to go through. Part of them despised it. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to think about it. But there was another part of them that said, well, we got to remember this so that we understand just how good God has been to us, so that it will deter us from this spirit of disobedience that's going on around us. There was a spirit of disobedience in the midst of the camp. I don't care how faithful the majority appeared to be, that there was still a minority that was ornery. There was still a minority that thought it was Burger King and they could have it their way. There was still a minority that said it's my way or the highway. But you gotta appreciate the aftermath. In other words, the good and the bad. Yeah, we had some hard times over the years, but I thank God for every tear that we had to shed. I thank God for every time that the register in the bank account was in the red more than it was in the black. I thank God for every time we had to struggle, because our struggle helped us to appreciate our success. You gotta appreciate the aftermath. Now, appreciation of the aftermath, we gain insight into who God is and who God is calling us to be. Our appreciation signals to God, God, I'm grateful that you never left me alone. I'm grateful that you never took your hand off of me. I'm grateful that you never left me nor forsake. We appreciate the aftermath. The second thing we have to do, and this is the part that sometimes we get mixed up on. The second thing we have to do is we have to apply for access. The issue with the Israelites, because they had heard that they were this chosen people, this royal priesthood, as they heard that they were the ones whom God loved more than they loved themselves. The issue was that they had a spirit of entitlement. And they had a spirit of entitlement. They thought that everything was supposed to be handed to them on a silver platter. They really didn't think that they had to work anymore. After all, they had worked all all those hundreds of years under the hand of Pharaoh, they thought that they were free and free at last. And they thought that there was no more to be done. They thought that they could just be cool and laid back. And they thought everything else would work out just fine. But you got to apply for access in the land God has prepared. Everybody wasn't going to get to go in. Moses didn't get to go in the land. You got to apply for access. You have to want to go in. You can stay out in the cold for a long time, but eventually you'll end up in, and that's where God wants you to be. You got to let God know, God, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm willing to go wherever you want me to go. I'm willing to take the limits off. God, use me. If you can use anything, you can use me. Many of us, we don't want to ask God for permission to do something that God has already promised us. Did you get what I said? We don't want to ask God for permission to do anything God has already promised us, because somewhere in our way of thinking, we believe that it's already ours. But we need God to advise us every step of the way. God, which way do you want me to go? God, how far do you want me to go? God, to what do you want me to apply? You have to be able to ask God for direction in every area of your life. And in our application for access, there is a notion that we are surrendering to God our very selves. Because as you apply for access, you're putting in the application and saying, God, I want to go in, but you're surrendering to whatever God says has to happen once you get in. Lastly, and this is the thing that I think a lot of times as a church, especially in a church in the 21st century, that we just really shy away from. After you appreciate the aftermath of whatever it is that you've been through, all that you had to go through to get to this appointed time, after you've applied for access to take the next steps to walk into your God-ordained future as individuals and as the church collective, the thing that we have to do is we have to anticipate